So on the money market, it is a market which I told you is for a short-term duration. Funds you get for a shorter duration, you can invest or you can borrow for a shorter duration. So that is where is money market comes into picture, where suppliers and demanders of money come together, and the suppliers save their money. In turn, the intermediaries like bankers use that money to give it to the company so that they can invest for a shorter period. So there are four types or four sub markets under money market. The first is the call money market, then the collateral loan market, acceptance market, and bill market. Call money market is a market which is for a very short duration, maximum 7 days. Usually we give loan overnight, and once the bank gives a call, you have to repay that money. Usually big companies take this loan. The interest rate is very low, very minimum, but it is a source of finance for banks to keep their excess cash for a day or two somewhere and earn a little money, and for companies to get immediate cash so that they can meet up their requirements. Whereas the collateral loan market I had told you yesterday is the market where you get short-term loans for 6 months, 9 months. So within a year's period, you get that loan, and you have to keep something as security. That's why we call it as collateral loan market. Collateral means keeping security. So you can keep security of your shares, debentures, or any short-term raw materials. So whatever is available with you, security can be kept and loan can be taken. If you are not able to repay the loan during the stipulated time period, the banker will become the owner of that security, and the bank will basically sell that security and recover their money. Okay, so acceptance market. Now the third one we will start with today in detail. When I say acceptance market, here we're talking about the basically the bill market, or you can say bill market in the next also we'll discuss. It is basically bankers acceptance, or bankers acceptance are very old for commercial credit. This market deals with bankers acceptance, which may be defined as a draft drawn by a business firm upon a bank, and it is accepted by it. It is required to pay to the order of a particular party or the bearer a certain specific amount at a specific future date. Bankers acceptance can be easily discounted in the money market because they carry the signature of the bank. These acceptances emerge out of commercial transactions both within the country and abroad. Now, this is what I've read out of the theory. Let's understand what it basically means. When I say or talk about the banker's acceptance, it's basically a bank is writing or signing on a draft and giving to me, saying that if I fail to pay on behalf of me, my bank will pay. So bank is accepting that, or you can say bank is reacting like a guarantor that if this party is unable to pay, then on behalf of this party, the bank will pay. So I'm getting just an acceptance or a guarantee letter, you can say, which I can give it to my suppliers and say, see, give me goods on credit. My bank has accepted the draft. If I fail to pay, in turn, my bank will pay. Okay, now the banker's acceptance is not got by everybody. It's not easy to get banker's acceptance. You should be a regular customer, continuously trading with the bank, and the bank has to have trust on you, guarantee on you, or you should be a good big business tycoon which gives lakhs of business to bank. Then they'll give you these acceptance letters. So you can use this acceptance letters and buy goods on credit, and later you can repay. So usually, bankers acceptance happens when we trade with other countries more so, because the other country people, they don't know us personally, so they want some bank or some institution to back up, to give some guarantee for us so that they can supply the materials easily and we can make payment on time. Now this bankers acceptance or these drafts that the bank gives us, where they say that we guarantee that if he or she doesn't pay, I will pay. Those drafts will be like kind of a bond or a note. That note also can be traded in the money market. You can show that note to somebody and take loan and say, see, if I don't pay, the bank is going to pay me. So that also can happen. So this was about bankers acceptance. Basically, they happen for commercial transactions like buying and selling of goods within the own country or abroad. Any doubts with this? Usually we use it during import export. Is that clear? Let's go to the next, that is bill of exchange. Now here we talk about the bills receivable, bills payable that we receive bill from a customer saying that I'll pay you on so and so date. Bills payable, we give it to a supplier saying that on so and so date the supplier will pay. So it is a market in which short-term papers or bills are bought and sold. The important types of short-term papers are bills of exchange, that is the bills payable and bills receivable. Bills of exchange are commercial papers. A bill of exchange is a written unconditional order which is signed by the drawer requiring the drawee to pay on demand or at a fixed future time a definite sum of money. Let's understand this with an example. Suppose I have sold goods, okay, to one of you. Maybe I have sold goods to Rashmi, okay, and Rashmi has said that she will pay me the money later, so I'll tell her to give me a bill of exchange. So a bill of exchange is a return, so she will write unconditional order, no conditions on that, in which she will sign. It will be signed by the drawer. She is the drawer because she has taken goods from me, and instead of that she is giving me bill, so it will be signed by her, requiring, sorry, it will be signed by the drawer requiring the drawee to pay on demand. So it will be signed by me and I will ask her to pay on demand or at a fixed future date. Usually it will be a fixed future date. So I'll sell goods to Rashmi and I will draw a bill on her, bills receivable, and in that I will write I have sold goods to Rashmi worth 5,000 rupees and she has promised me to pay it by June 18, 2020. So that is a bill which has there's no condition. Only thing is I mention the date, the amount and the name of the person who has to pay that money and I sign on it and I give it to Rashmi. So that becomes bills receivable of mine and for Rashmi it becomes bills payable. Now these kind of bills can be traded in the market. I have the bills receivable with me. Now Rashmi is going to give me by June 18th. But if I need the money immediately, I can take that bill to my banker and say, see, so and so customer is going to give me the money by 18th. This is the bill which is accepted by her. But I am in need of money today itself. So the banker will keep the bill with himself and he'll give me the money. Okay. Now that money the banker will give will not be full 5,000. The bank will give me 4,500 or maybe 4,800. 200 rupees less because that 200 will be banker's gain. When Rashmi will pay 5,000, bank will take full 5,000. But while giving it to me, bank gave me only 4,800. So 200 is banker's gain or commission for discounting the bill. Because 5,000 bill they are giving me only 4,800, we call it as discounting of bill because they give a lower price. Okay, so it is basically a bill drawn from one party on other party where the other party agrees to pay and the first party agrees to receive a certain sum of amount at a fixed date, and that bill can be discounted with the bank. If I want money early, I can't wait till 18 June. I can go to the bank today and tell them, see, I have a bill, I'm going to receive money on so and so date, but I need immediate money, so you keep the bill and give me money, and on the due date, once the money is received, I'll give it back to you. So the banker agrees. So that is bill of exchange market, where you can get loan on the bills that you have, the bills receivable that you have. On that you get loan from the bank. Then you have treasury bills market. These treasury bills are nothing but government bonds that are issued to general public. Usually they are short period, 91 days duration bonds. You can buy them from government and pay money to them. It's like you're giving loan to the government for 91 days. After 91 days, government will pay your money back with interest and take the bonds. So you invest in treasury bill bonds because they are the safest bonds. They are issued by the government of a particular country. Government can never default or close down or shut down. So there is guarantee that you will get your money back, and the interest will be, because they are risk free, there is no risk at all. The interest will be low. but you can keep money for up to 3 months, 6 months. Usually 91 days period treasury bills are more popular. So this is the bill market, which is again for short duration. So it comes under the category of money market. You can see here 3 months, 6 months. We're talking in months, not in years. So for a shorter duration, you can also enter into bill market. So your money market consists of 4 things. All money market, loan for a very short duration, collateral loan market, where you keep some security and get loan for a few months. Acceptance market, where the government gives, the bank gives you an acceptance letter. It's not directly giving you a loan, but they are acting as a guarantor. Using that letter, you can get goods from other party as bank acts as a guarantor, and that letter can be used to get loan or can be used to trade in the market. And last is the bill market, where your bills receivable and payable are discounted by the banks. You get the money immediately, or you can treasury bills which are issued by the government. You can buy them, and on the date of maturity, you will get the interest as well as your amount back. Any doubts, anybody in the money market?
Uh,
Yeah,
Ma'am,
yes, ma'am.
yeah, tell me.
Is acceptance the market letter, ma'am? Means we just have to use in export import case, or in for further purposes we can use, ma'am, that one.
No, usually it is used for export import or you within the country. If you don't want to do export import from Belgium, if I'm buying goods from Goa maybe, so that person doesn't know me, I can take acceptance letter of my bank and take goods from him. So within the country or outside the country, for both acceptance letters can be used. It basically helps, or it is a guarantee letter where the bank is saying that if this person is not able to pay, I will pay on behalf of him. So that letter is itself is saying that bank is at the back of me, so you can give me money and I will pay you back later. So sometimes goods are bought, sometimes even it is used to get money. Any other doubts?
ma'am, I had a doubt.
Hmm.
Ma'am, you said treasury bills can be only kept for 3 months or 6 months. Why is the reason that it is kept only for short period of time?
Because treasury bills or treasury notes we call it, or bills or even bonds they are called as, these are issued by government only for a shorter duration. When government needs money for around 6 months or 3 months period, some project is pending, maybe they want to put money there, and once the project works the revenue will start coming. So when the government needs loan for short period, they will issue treasury bonds or treasury bills or treasury notes, wherein they take money from the public, give them bonds for a shorter duration, and after that 6 months or 9 months, whatever period, they will repay back the money and they will get take back their bonds. So these are short-term sources of finance that we are discussing. Money market is only for a few months when you need short-term loan. That's why it is for a shorter duration.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Any
Okay, ma'am.
any
In any case, ma'am, they must means return our amount or bonds, ma'am. Means they can collect those bonds, right, ma'am, within the 91 days or 6 months.
Within 91 days, no? After the 91st day, you will have to give back the bonds and you will get money. Now it is not that you have to give back the bonds. Now the bonds come in your email in the soft form. So usually after the time is over, the government will pay back your money and they will tell that the bond is no more existing, because on the bond the maturity date will be mentioned. So once the date is
Okay.
over and you have got the money, that bond has no validity after that.
Okay, ma'am. Then its maximum period is a 6 month, right?
Usually,
Okay.
I've not
Okay.
said 6 months exactly. Most of the bonds
Okay.
will be of 6 months. It can be 9 months
Okay.
also. It can go up to 12 months also, but it will not be more than a year. Within a year.
Okay, ma'am.
So 12 months is the maximum period you can get treasury bonds or treasury bills.
Okay. Thank you.
There are
Ma'am,
long-term
how
bonds
public
also
will
available. Yeah. Tell me.
Ma'am, how public will come to know about like government is issuing the treasury bills? How they will come to know, ma'am?
You'll get to know. No, see, now, recently, this month only, government is issuing sovereign bonds. Sovereign bonds are gold bonds, wherein instead of buying gold, you can buy 1 gram. Now, 1 gram gold value is suppose 4,700. So that one bond will be of 4,700. If you want, you can buy those bonds through your demat account. When you're trading on the stock market, you have demat account, they will give you those options also. Or even if you're going on your nowadays, so I have also seen it on phone pay and all, where you want to trade, they will ask you whether you want to buy sovereign bonds, this bond, that bond, and government gives notifications, it is in the news papers that there is a bonds issued if anybody interested, then all of us should apply for that. And if government wants huge loan, all of us will get the bonds. Otherwise, whoever has applied first will get the bonds, and that much money will be deducted from their account. So now, this month only, the 3 times government has issued sovereign bonds. Sovereign bonds are gold bonds. They are long-term bonds. They are for a period of 5 years. So if you buy one bond, suppose for 4,700, that means you have bought 1 gram gold worth bond. So 5 years, your money will be with them. They will give you interest every year, and at the end of 5 years, whatever is the gold rate in the market, that much money government will pay you back. So today's gold rate is 4,700. Suppose you bought the bond for 4,700. After 5 years, suppose the gold rate is 5,700. Then government will give you 5,700 as on that date, on the maturity date. So instead of buying gold and keeping it home, sometimes people feel it's better to buy these bonds and keep it in our accounts, because there is robbery, theft, that fear when we have gold. So if you're not wearing gold, or you're not fond of having gold, but you still want to invest in gold, then it is better to buy such kind of bonds where you will keep earning interest also, as well as the gold rate increases, you will get more amount. But if it decreases, you will get less amount also. Suppose after 5 years, gold rate is 3,700. Then government will give you only 3,700. You cannot say, I bought the bond for 4,700, give me that much. Whatever is the gold rate on the date of maturity, that much for 1 gram you will get. So you can buy as many bonds as you want. One bond is of 1 gram gold. So if you want 10 grams, you buy 10 bonds. If you want 50 grams, you buy 50 bonds. It depends on whether that many bonds are issued by the bank or not. You can apply as many as government can allot to you, you will get those. Actually, sovereign bond is also
Okay, ma'am.
in the last week of this month. You can check, go and Google it on internet. See the dates. Opening date will be there when you can apply, and closing date will be there. On the opening date, you will have to apply. On the closing date, you will get an email whether you have got it or not.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, what will be the rate of interest, ma'am, on sovereign bonds?
They will be very low because they are given by government, no? So it is risk free. You are guaranteed that I'll get my money back. So you will get hardly 5%, 4%, like how you get your SB interest rate, no? Like that. So it will not be very attractive, not like stock market where you invest in shares and you can gain 20, 30% in a day. It is not like that. The rates will be low because there is guarantee. Government is backing those bonds. So government will change, but it will never close down or shut down. So that is why the rates will be low. Even for treasury bill, treasury bond, the interest rate will be very low. But it is guaranteed that your money is not going to go anywhere, it will come back. So we call them as risk-free investment. No risk when you invest here.
Okay,
Any
ma'am.
other thoughts? Is that clear?
Ma'am,
Excuse me.
in acceptance letter,
Hmm.
now if I'm giving you a acceptance letter and I have a bank support, like if I'm not paying, they'll be paying.
Correct.
On what basis will they take that responsibility, ma'am? Will they be having some securities?
Bank taking
Like will they take some?
responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
That is what is very important. Banks won't give acceptance letter to everybody. They will give it only to the regular customers. Now, if you, I don't know how many of you have read that Nirav Modi case, but even he got acceptance letters from banks, and he used to buy materials from people. Now, why bank gave letters to Nirav Modi? Because he had big business. He showed so much of sales. He showed so many years profits. He repaid his big loans initially, and he showed banker that I have money and I will pay to the suppliers. You will not be bothered for it. So only when the bank trusts on you, or you have a lot of loans or deposits with the banks, you have FDs with the banks. So they know that worst case, if you default, they can use your assets. Only then they will give you. So it is not for everybody. It's given only to businessmen to help them or to support them to get materials on credit, because from the new customers, the new customer will ask for guarantee. So to find a guarantor is difficult. That's why bank helps in giving such letters, for which bank gets commission. It is not for free. You have to pay some commission to the bank. So it's like a source of revenue for the bank also, and they will give it only to the ones whom they trust. It's not given to everybody.
Okay, ma'am.
And now, if Ambani goes and asks acceptance letter, bank will not think twice, because so many accounts, so much FD, everything is there. They will give it easily. But if we go, then they will not. They may not oblige so easily. So that is how. Not that only big businessmen will get. The small middle class, instead of middle, we can say small scale and medium scale businesses also get it, but they should have regular contact with the bank. They should have their business accounts there, and the banker will check everything. What is the business sales, profits of the previous year? Depending on that, they'll be.
Exchange, ma'am,
Ma'am,
that
is
example.
there any amount mentioned, ma'am, in the acceptance market?
Yes, because for how much you're buying those goods, no, that much only guarantee bank will give. So suppose you say that, see, from this particular customer, I'm buying 1 lakh worth goods. I want an acceptance letter for 1 lakh. The bank will check everything, what you're buying, which goods, and for what cost. It will also cross check with the customer, and then they will give you a acceptance letter of that much amount.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, and for bills of exchange, is there a standard format? Because as you said, it can be traded later on. So
Yes.
it must be a standard format, right?
Yeah, it is a standard format. There will be a standard format for bills receivable, bills payable. I'll check it on Google. If I find it, I'll share it with you on WhatsApp, how the format looks like.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, can you please explain once again about bills of exchange, ma'am, that example? It is bit confusing.
Okay, bills of exchange. See, now suppose I and Rashmi are trading, and Rashmi has bought goods from me. I have to receive money from her. She is promising me to pay it later. So I will write a bill in which I will mention that I have sold so and so goods to Rashmi for 5,000 rupees, which she has agreed to pay me by 18th of June. And I will sign on that bill. Rashmi will also sign on that bill. She'll accept it, and I'll give one copy to her. One copy will be with me. I'll call my copy. I'll call it as bills receivable, and Rashmi will call her copy as bills payable, because she has to pay it to me, and I have to receive from her. Now, this bills receivable copy that I have, I can take it to my banker today and say, see, I have a bill receivable from Rashmi. She's going to pay me on 18th June, but I need 5,000 rupees today because I have some other payment to be done. So you keep this bill and give me loan on this bill. And once Rashmi pays, I will give you that money. So the banker says, okay, but I am discounting your bill. I am taking the bill of 5,000. I'll give you only 4,800. So that 200 that I will receive, that will be my commission. So I'm agreeing to that. I'm discounting my bill with the bank. The bank takes the bill, immediately gives me 4,800, and I can use it in my business. On 18th June, when Rashmi pays the money to me, I go to the bank, give full 5,000, and close that bill. Or I can even ask Rashmi that I have discounted the bill with my banker. You go and give it in the bank itself. 5,000 rupees, Rashmi will pay it there, and the bill will get closed. So bank has given 4,800, received 5,200 is bank's commission. Now suppose Rashmi fails to pay. She defaults and she says, I don't have money, I can't pay you 5,000. Then the banker will contact me and say, your bill has been dishonored. The customer has not paid. The bill has got dishonored. So you come to the bank and pay 5,000 rupees and clear the dues. So I will go and I'll pay 5,000, take my dishonored bill and come back. And later I will be in touch with Rashmi and collect my money. So the banker is not going to do all the things for me. And if I want the banker to do all this, then I'll have to pay more commission, for which the bank has to agree. So that is bill of exchange, which we can use to get loan or get our money little early as compared to the due date. Is that clear?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Go
Ma'am, bills of exchange, is it like a check, right?
not check, because if it is check means it is like you will check is something where one person says that I'm paying you, pay to the bearer, pay to the order. But bill of exchange is just a promise that I will pay on this and this date. So you can't say that it is check. It is, you can call it as a promissory note where one party promises to pay to other party, and if that promise is broken, we call it as dishonor. But in check, you are writing clearly. If you have seen a check book or a check, you can see there it is written pay to, we write the person's name and we sign. So we are asking, giving order to the bank to pay. Whereas in a bill of exchange, we are promising that on this date I will pay you. So both are different.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
If we go further, any other doubts? Okay. The next is the
No, ma'am.
Okay, next is the capital market. Now, money market was for a shorter duration, but capital market is for getting long-term loans where you can borrow for years together, and you're borrowing it for long term so that you can use it for a longer purpose, long-term purpose. I want to buy machinery, a building, then those loans you cannot repay in 6 months, 8 months. The amounts will be very huge, and you will take those loans for 8 years or 10 years, and you will pay them accordingly. So capital market helps you to get long-term funds. It is a financial relationship created by a number of institutions and arrangements that allow suppliers and demanders of long-term funds to come together. So here the suppliers and demanders of a long-term funds are coming together now. Included among long-term funds are securities, issue of business and government. So these long-term funds can be given by government. They can give you long-term bonds, or it can be given by companies. They'll issue shares and they will take money from you, or they can issue debentures and take loan from you. So there are different sources through which the government and the businesses can get money from the general public by issuing bonds, shares, or debentures. The backbone of capital market is formed by various security exchanges that provide a forum for equity and debt transactions. How does a capital market work? A capital market works on the stock exchanges. So you have NSE, you have BSE, you have various stock brokers, you have stock broking houses like Angel Broking, or you have Sher Khan. So these are the people who are backbone of capital market, who are helping the companies and the government and the banks to issue bonds, shares, and everything to the public, and in turn receive money from public and give it to the companies, government, and banks as a form of loan. So the backbone of capital market, again I'm repeating, is security exchanges like your BSE and NSE. Now the capital market comprises of two things. One is the primary market and the other is the secondary market. In the primary market, it is a market where you issue shares for the first time. So newly issued shares. So I had shown you, if you remember, in one of my previous sessions, how to apply for an IPO. IPO is an initial public offering. When the company is issuing that share for the first time to the general public, we call it as IPO. IPO happens in primary market, where a company is directly giving shares to the public. So now here the relationship is in between company and public. Whereas in the secondary market, already existing shares are traded. Company is not issuing new shares. So suppose I want to buy Infosys shares. I need not wait for IPO of Infosys. I need not wait and see when management of Infosys is going to issue new shares. I can just call my broker and tell, see, I want 10 Infosys shares today. He will see anybody is ready to sell or what in the existing market. If somebody is ready to sell, he will buy 10 shares from them and he will give it to me. So what we are doing here, one investor is trading with other investor. In secondary market, company doesn't come into picture. Already existing shares are there in the market. Suppose I have Infosys shares and Namrata wants to buy them. I want to sell them. So it is in between me and Namrata. Infosys is not there in picture. company doesn't come in picture in secondary market. One investor trades with other investor. One investor wants to sell, the other investor wants to buy, and we both may not be knowing each other. So a broker is there in between. So I call my broker and say I want to sell 10 Infosys shares. Namrata will call her broker and say I want to buy. So when I sell, it will show on the screen that today so many Infosys shares are sold. When she will buy, it will show that today these many Infosys shares are bought. So it is buying and selling between two investors with the help of the intermediary, that is the broker. Is that clear? Primary market is in between company and investor, whereas secondary market is between investor and investor. In primary
Ma'am, I
market,
have a doubt, ma'am. Ma'am, if the company is the new one and if it is going for IPO, then who will buy the shares of them? Because they will not be known by the public, right?
yeah, that is
So
correct. Now see, it is not necessary that nobody will buy shares from them. The company is a new one, means the company may be existing earlier also, but it is issuing shares this for the first time. Or maybe it's a new company only. Somebody is starting a new company itself. Now, why we will buy the IPO? Because IPOs, when the companies issue, they cannot issue it directly. SEBI has to approve. Security Exchange Board of India will do background check of them, and they will have to approve that okay, you are a company who has a potential to grow, and you can issue shares to the public. And once the SEBI approves, they cannot directly issue it to you. They should have someone called as a merchant banker, some banker who helps them in issuing, subscribing, applying. Because when you apply, you will have to pay money. When the money is paid, it will go to a bank, and from there it will go to the company. So when they search a banker also, it is like the bank is also guaranteeing you. So suppose I am issuing an IPO and I go to SBI and tell, please be my merchant banker. SBI will first study what is my plan, what is my business, am I really having the potential to grow, how much money I am putting from my side, what is the risk that I have taken, how much I am borrowing from public. And only if SBI is convinced, they will become my merchant banker. So if they become my merchant banker, it is like SBI is also with me and they are helping me to issue shares to the public. So there will be lots of people who will be backing up that IPO. So looking at their guarantee, we basically buy it. I, I don't know the company name, but in few months back only, maybe 1.5 months or 2 months back only, there was a gaming IPO, gaming company that was, I don't know if you all remember the name. That was also for the first time that the company was issuing an IPO, but a few big investors had already bid for that company's IPO. So because they had bid, people started believing that the company is going to grow, and the IPO was oversubscribed. It was new for the first time. I don't know, Nazara Technologies or some name, very popular company only it was. So just because someone is investing in that, all the people started believing the company has potential to grow. Now by someone, I mean someone who is having some repute in the market. Now if Warren Buffett invest in some IPO, all of us will feel, oh, Warren Buffett is putting money, means we should also buy. In India, Indian Warren Buffetts are also many. Suppose the DMart owner, Mr. Damani, he is also a very popularly known investor. If he puts money in some IPO, everybody starts putting there, thinking, okay, if he is putting, he is very strategic. So like that, there will be a few investors also who will bid for the IPOs. There will be banks who will be supporting. SEBI will approve for that IPO. So there will be a guarantee that so many people are supporting, means there is something in the company. The company is not going to close down, and people like us start believing and we buy. So that is how, even if it is a new company, if they are allowed to go for an IPO, means some background check has happened for them and they have the potential to survive. Any
okay,
other
ma'am.
doubt?
Thank you.
Ma'am, how can they bid for the IPO? Is it not open to the public?
It is open to the public. That's what I had shown you my account also in one of the class. You
Yes,
have
ma'am.
to open a Zerodha account or open any account with any stock exchange, and there will be a section called IPO, in which if you click, they will tell you which is the IPO open. if it is open, they will ask you to bid for it, or which are the upcoming IPOs that are going to come on so and so date, and then you can bid. You cannot buy one share in an IPO. You will have to buy a bundle of shares. So for one bid, around 15,000 rupees you will have to have. So you bid. Suppose each share is of 1,000 rupees and 15,000 is one bid that you're giving. That means you are bidding for 15 shares. After you bid, how many people have bid, that all will be totaled. So how many have applied for the IPO? Then if it is oversubscribed, if I have 100 shares and 200 people have asked, then the company will decide which 100 people are going to get it. And the remaining people will get a mail saying, we regret the allotment was not done because of oversubscription, and your money is refunded back into your account. So once you apply, that money will be blocked from your account. And if it is allotted, that money will be taken by the company, shares will come to your account. If it is not allotted, your money will be refunded back to your account with an email that we regret, we cannot allot that share.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, and always the trading has to happen through a broker. Why is it so? Like,
because see, not broker. Why I'm telling that? Because we open demat accounts with the brokers only, no, and the trading happens through demat account. It is not necessary that you have to call the broker and ask always. Like I told you, Zerodha is an online account. I have opened an account there. I want to bid for an IPO. I directly click on the bid. I don't ask anybody. I don't call anybody or tell buy on my behalf.
Yeah, these days it is automated, so you do
Yeah.
it online only. But
Correct.
the procedure is that you have to have a broker in
Yeah, you
between.
should have a demat account. So whether it is with broker, even SBI gives you demat account. So if you go to SBI and open a demat account there, you can directly automatically buy through your demat account. So it can be with a bank or a broker. Whoever is giving demat account, with them
Okay.
you can trade, because that is the main thing is the demat account. If you have that, then you can buy and sell shares. So it is with anybody, it's okay, but you should have an account.
And they will be charging a brokerage, right?
Yeah, whenever you buy and sell the share, no, some small amount of commission they will charge, because they are helping you in doing all that.
Okay, ma'am. There is there is no procedure of direct trading. It's not allowed, is it?
No, through demat, if you are doing, no, it is like, to maintain your demat account, how you maintain SB account, and they take charges, annual maintenance charges. Like that, these people will also charge you for maintaining your account, you can say. It is not a huge amount. They're not going to charge you huge. Very
Okay.
little they will charge. It's just to maintain your account, or they're helping you in processing, so they're taking their service charges.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other doubts? Okay, so let's understand the difference between the capital market and money market. First, capital market is a long-term market, whereas money market is a short-term market. Then finance provided by capital market may be used for both fixed as well as working capital. So whatever money you get from capital market, you can use it for long-term as well as some portion for short-term. But that is not the case with money market. In money market, you're getting a short-term loan. You can use it only for shorter duration. That is only for working capital. You cannot use it for longer investments. Capital market will act as a middleman or intermediary between an investor and an entrepreneur. Investor is people like you and me, and entrepreneurs are companies who are taking money from us for longer duration. Whereas in case of money market, instead of calling them investor or entrepreneur, we call them depositor and borrower. Because in money market, usually we deposit money with the banks or the governments for short duration, and companies borrow from them for using it for their smaller needs. So money market is between depositors and borrowers, but capital market, because directly in the share market we can invest, so we call it is in between investors and companies or entrepreneurs. Under capital market, underwriting is one of the major objectives or primary objectives. Under secondary market, it is a secondary object. Sorry, under money market, it is a secondary objective. Now, what is underwriting? Anybody knows what is underwriting? Okay. Underwriting is nothing but a guarantee. Now, suppose I told you, suppose SBI is my merchant banker. So SBI will tell me that I will help you in issuing your shares and people will buy it. But if certain shares are not bought by public, I will buy it on behalf of them. So it is like SBI is giving me guarantee that 100% my shares will be sold. If any shares are unsold, State Bank of India is going to buy it. So for that, I'll have to give commission to SBI because they are guaranteeing the issue of my IPO. So that is called as underwriting, where the merchant banker takes the guarantee to issue all your shares to the public. Any unissued share or portion of shares will be bought by the merchant banker himself. This much guarantee they give you, for which they will charge a huge commission because they are helping you to issue your shares 100% and the risk of yours is taken over by them. So in primary market, when the company is issuing shares for the first time to the public, underwriting is very important because the company doesn't want to take risk. It will transfer all its risk to the merchant banker. If my shares are not bought, you will buy it. So the entire risk is yours. So underwriting is the primary objective here. But in case of money market, government doesn't have underwriters. There is no, no need, or maybe there is no, you can say, compulsion of having an underwriter. It's a secondary objective. If somebody wants underwriters, they can tell them to happen or do so. Otherwise, there is no need. The bonds are issued by the government or the banks. People, if they want, they will buy it. If they are not bought, they will go unsold. Usually, they don't go unsold because there will be huge demand for bonds issued by governments or banks. So that's why underwriting is not so important in money market. It's for a very short duration. But in a primary market or in a capital market where you're buying, giving money for long duration, underwriting becomes a primary objective. Okay, so that was about underwriting. Next, its investment institutions raise capital from public and invest in selected securities so as to give the highest possible return with the lowest risk. So the bankers or the mutual fund companies or insurance companies, these are the investment institutions who will take money from public and invest it in companies with highest possible return and lowest possible risk. So here, if you're going through a mutual fund route, somebody else is investing on behalf of you. You are putting SIP every year. SIP is systematic investment plan. Every month or every year, you give certain money to that mutual fund, and they will invest on behalf of you to ensure you that you get maximum return and minimum risk. Means they will try their level best. There is no guarantee because the market is very volatile. Nobody can guarantee you less risk and more return, but they will try to invest like that. So capital market, where public from institutions raise money from public and invest it in shares. Whereas in case of secondary market, it provides outlets to commercial banks, business corporations, or any non-bank financial institutions for short-term and others for short-term surplus of funds. So if banks have surplus of funds, they can give it as loan. If companies have shortage, they can take it from banks. So it basically helps in the money market. Basically the problem is one person has little more money surplus, the other needs it, so they are just meeting each other's requirements and giving interest. But in capital market, that is not the case. You're giving money for investment for years together. Company is developing, growing, employment is created. So here the objective is to grow the economy or the country, the company. Whereas in money market, the objective is to meet the short-term requirements. Immediately I have to make payment. So I go to the bank, give me money. I'll return in 2 days, 3 days. That is the objective in case of money market. So these are the major differences between capital market and money market. Anybody having doubts?
Ma'am, is in a mutual fund we have the agents or what? Means who will be invest behalf on us?
Yes, if you have different companies providing mutual funds, like you have Axis Bank Mutual Fund, HDFC Mutual Fund, UTI Mutual Funds, SBI Mutual Funds. So you can open a mutual fund account there, put your money there, and those agents who are specialized investors who understand the market better than common man. Those people will use your money and put it in the stock market, and they will give you certain returns. So if you don't have knowledge and you don't want to take risk of directly investing in the stock market, you can go through the mutual fund route, where you're giving money to a particular company to invest on behalf of you. So you can, if you invest in HDFC mutual funds, there are different types of mutual funds also. You have money market mutual funds where you can invest for short time, or you have equity mutual funds where your entire money will be invested in equity shares of certain companies. You have mid cap, low cap, high cap. Mid cap means they'll invest in those companies which are middle, their capital structure or their capital is not that huge. That company is like a mid cap company. Low cap is small scale companies. Mid cap is medium scale companies. And large cap is big companies like Ambani's and all those. Where big companies, huge capital is raised by those companies. So there will be various options. You want to invest in risky shares, you will have those kind of mutual funds. If you just go to any one company mutual fund website and check, you will have around 10, 20 or even hundreds of mutual fund options where you want to invest. You can decide that. So you give money and on behalf of you somebody is investing instead of you directly investing in the stock market. So
Okay, ma'am.
yeah. Any other
It means that there will be the possibility of bearing loss as well in
Yes,
mutual
yes.
fund, right,
Because
ma'am?
if you see the on TV also, they'll give you a disclaimer. Investing is in mutual fund is risky. Invest at your own risk. There is
Yes,
no
ma'am. Correct.
guarantee that you will get
Correct.
that much return. Only thing is
Yeah.
the person who is investing knows a little better than you. So maybe he will
Okay,
invest
ma'am.
more strategically and he will try to reduce your risk, give you more return.
Okay, ma'am.
That was about capital market and money market. Okay. So there are two more points. Capital market provides long-term funds to central and state government, public and local bodies, but money market provides short-term funds to government or any bodies by issuing treasury bills, discounting the bills. Capital market helps in mobilization of resources and effective utilization of resources through lending to the company. So they are taking resources from public and giving it to the company so that nicely the resources can be used, mobilized, and the country economy and the companies all as well as public can grow. In case of money market, lending and borrowing are the principal function. Here, only for short-term needs, money requirements are met. Here, there is no objective of growth, development of the economy, country, or company. Here, for a shorter duration, somebody needs money, you are helping him out, getting interest. So that's the only objective. But capital market objective is to use the resources in a better way and grow. So that was about capital and money market.
Ma'am, can you please elaborate on the mobilization?
Mobilization means utilization of resources or moving of resources from one hand to other hand. I have money, it is lying idle with me. Instead of keeping it idle, I invest it in maybe some company shares. So I'm mobilizing, moving my money from one person to other person. The company can use it better, effectively utilize that money, invest it somewhere, grow, create employment, and give my money back with returns as well as make the economy grow. So mobilization means moving of resources from one person where it is lying idle to other person where he can use it in an effective way or in a better utilization.
Okay, ma'am.
So I hope this was clear. Tomorrow we'll continue with what is a primary market, a secondary market, difference between them, similarities, and the functions. Actually, we are going a little slow. I had thought I'll complete the markets today and we'll go to sources on Saturday's class. So we'll gear up a little bit on Saturday and finish the markets and start with the sources. Today is the third class and we have still not touched that part.
Ma'am, can you please share this PPT?
Yeah, I'll share it.
Okay.
So we'll finish Saturday. We'll try to start with the sources, and by Monday I'll try to complete this chapter.
Okay.
You can type your roll numbers and leave the meeting if you have no doubts. If there are any doubts, you
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes, tell me number.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of merchant banker?
Merchant banker is a banker who helps you in issuing shares to the public for the first time. So in your IPO and all, they help you. We call them merchant banker because they are helping a company to issue shares and get money from the public. So they are into trade, commercial, business. So we call them as merchant because they are acting as an intermediary to support a particular business to get money from the public by issuing shares. So that's why they are named as merchant bankers. Usually they are bankers only, but they when they get into the services of issuing IPOs and all, the companies and the SEBI calls them as merchant bankers, or they are also called as investment bankers because they're
Oh,
helping in investment.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.